Hi, and welcome to Journeys into the Soul bonus content. I'm here with Rachel Corpus, and we are going to get all into her episode and talk about what happened afterwards. Rachel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for spending time with me today.
Your episode's called Kingdom of Love. You had an experience of sitting on a rose quartz throne and experiencing being in this kingdom of love. What was that like?
It was really wonderful to have the opportunity to be shown that it was an actual place because I've seen the rose quartz throne as part of a actual kingdom made of rose quartz several times throughout my life, and I didn't know what it meant. So it's an actual place that's part of me, I guess, where I can go. And I'm not fully sure what that means entirely. I still get to sit with that. But in the episode, it was shown to me that I'm worthy of love. And rose quartz is a crystal that I'm always drawn to when I go to metaphysical shops, and I've not always known why. And it's because throughout this experience with the QHHT practitioner, Suzanne, I was reminded that just because of who I am, I'm worthy of love. And I guess my brain's always known that, but my heart really needed to hear it. So that rose quartz throne, being able to sit in it and be encompassed in that beautiful rose quartz allowed my whole body, mind, spirit to be enveloped in love. It was exceptional.
You know what was so cool about that whole worthy thing is you're like, oh, I kind of wish I had a pillow because the throne's so high. And they
Yeah.
were like, it's okay to ask for a pillow. If you need a pillow, you can get a pillow. And you're like, oh, I can do it. So that was part of the worthiness paradigm too.
Yeah, like just ask for what you need. And that's so typical of my life that I'll just kind of go with the discomfort. Like that's, oh, well, if you're uncomfortable, that's the way it's supposed to be. No, we're supposed to be comfortable. We're actually not here to be uncomfortable. We're not here to suffer. And I don't know when we started to get that message or be okay with that message that we're here to be disgruntled or to suffer. We're actually supposed to be here to be comfortable and to love each other and to be enveloped in love all the time. So I loved that moment where they said, well, they helped me notice my discomfort, which was funny. It really was a funny moment. And they said, oh, just ask for a pillow already. And then as soon as I did, my whole body was washed with this really comfy warmth. It was a really neat sensation. I didn't feel it just in my butt, but I felt it all in my spine. It was really interesting.
That's cool. Part of
Yeah.
what I loved about your session was this you're not worthy paradigm that you have come to help bring light to. And whether you felt that in your life or you've worked with other people that have felt that in their lives, you're like, we're all worthy. We're not like sheep. Religion taught us that you had to have somebody else come in and you had to be saved and become worthy. And you're like, what I want people to know is source is pure love. And you're part of that. And it's all about how do you feel loved and don't need to have someone and make you worthy because you already are. Tell me more about that experience.
What you said there, that is Rachel in a nutshell. I believe it's us, everyone in a nutshell. We may just come here to Earth to figure out that what you just said right there, that we do not need an intermediary to be worthy. And wow, I chose a religious family and from the get-go, and that is a perfect experience. I chose a perfect experience, but it doesn't match me. And I'm sure, and I'm telling you, I know I chose them and the perfect experience was not great, but it's exactly what I needed. But I grew up in the religious belief that I am not worthy of God's love unless I do A, B, C, unless I pray, unless I'm worthy, and that I'm not good enough. And there's the target is always moving. I even became a minister. Before that, I was a heartbeat away from becoming a nun. I didn't do that because I wanted to have kids and I like boys a lot. But I was really into the religious lifestyle, and those rules even were comforting to some extent, knowing, where to stand, when to kneel, having those prepared prayers that kept you in line, but within that structure, I couldn't find the spirit. I couldn't find God. And I realized that they were pushing me into this mold and making me very, very small. And there were other people there with me that also felt very small. And the message we were getting was, you'll always be small. You will not be good enough. And God is way up here. And there was this big distance between us. So I left, completely left, because we were little sheep and we left. And in fact, my name, Rachel, means lamb. I even chose that name and whispered it to my parents. I know I did before I was born. Name me Rachel, name me Rachel. My maiden name is Walker. So I was walking as the lamb, discovered as much as I could how to be the sheep and then leave. I got to walk out, how to be the walker, how to walk out and be the sheep. So I left religion and I found spirituality. Now I'm a psychic medium and I help people every day discover in their own way how to hold space for them, how to realize that you don't need an intermediary, whether that's a priest, a pastor, even an ascended master like Jesus, to tell you that you need love. We're made of love. That's putting it in a nutshell. There's a lot of, actually, there's no work involved. You just get to decide it. You just get to realize, okay, I'm loved. But the work involved is releasing trauma or releasing old beliefs. So it does take some practice. But hearing it in the session, well, it was so good because sometimes you just need to hear, hey, you were right. Not from an ego place, but from hey, you haven't wasted 40 some years of your life. Keep going, because I could feel when I heard that, I could feel all the other versions of me connecting to all the people around me, shifting, and all, instead of being tiny, we grew big. We were one with God. Instead of being separate, there was no separateness. And that's really what we're supposed to be like, I think. We're supposed to be the same as God. We're one with God. There is no other.
Uh,
Mm.
they said in your work, you help people find the weird in themselves.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Weird is 1 foot in earth, 1 foot in spirit. That's the original definition. So I help people find that in themselves. I help them realize they're not just human. They're not just divine. They're a blend of both. If we were floating in the quantum, if we're floating in spirit, I wouldn't have to do that. We would know, but we have chosen to have on a costume right now. So it is my job to help them realize you're not just a meat suit. You're not just Bob the accountant. You're not just Mary who's, working at the supermarket. You are a divine being inside. And once you remember that, literally anything is possible. It's my calling, my job. Sometimes I think whether I want to or not, there's no stopping this train. I get to help people remember that. And as soon as people remember, it's kind of like what happened to me. As soon as you know you can't unknow it, you start to see things differently because you begin to remember your worth. And everything has a different filter to it. You'll hear things differently. You'll see things differently. Colors become more vibrant. You'll start to question things. Oh, I don't think that Bible story is right. That sounds like bullshit. You'll start to feel conversations with a bit more kindness. And this isn't immediate. It may be for some people. It can be a process. In fact, it's more lovely when it is a process. But yes, I help people sit in the weird, which is 1 foot here, 1 foot there. Yeah.
Suzanne, you have a list of questions that you gave to Suzanne, and she goes, one of the questions is about career, and the
Mm.
higher self, the guides, they go, oh, she's gonna not like this, but we think it's so cute with her career. They use quotes, and she likes to live in her cozy cottage with her cozy little thing. But they said, don't be afraid to receive phone calls. Don't be afraid to answer emails, to step out, because you're going to be out there more, and it's not the ego based of, hey, everyone, look at me. It's the work that you're doing in the world is going to move forward. So moving
Hmm.
forward from your session, how are things? How have things progressed and moved forward?
My my closest friends know that I get a little like hot when I think of myself as being the face out there, because I don't want or need to be known. I want to put spirit forward. I want God, God to be known. And when I say God, my definition of God is all loving God, source God, not religious God. And I'm passionate about that because I grew up in the Catholic religion. So I believed for a long time that the priest was God as a little one. So I personified God. So I really, probably putting too much persona in this, but I really want to disappear. I want to do my work in the background so people can put themselves in it and grow. So I've said to Spirit for probably too long, hey, can I just go quiet in my cozy cottage and work from the sidelines? And they've said, well, yeah, you can, but you're going to be able to help more people if you let us go big with you. Okay, so I finally said, because this great gift of the session was Suzanne, thank you. I said, okay, lead the way. Wow, that was like a light switch. I felt it. I felt it in my bones. It went, and then, yeah, things have grown. So it feels very much like everything that happens in the movie The Secret, where my thoughts have aligned with everything that's happened. I can touch my heart and make a choice. I can say, I would like angels. I would love to see the sun come out. For my highest good, I would love to hear from this beautiful client slash loving friend that I haven't heard from in a while. It's just like that. Now there's an agreement with spirit that I would never ask for anything that's not for my highest good. And since then, we have moved to a beautiful new house. So I miss my cozy cottage, but wow, I mean, new house. It's really special. And I've signed with a PR person, and I have all these projects. In fact, I'm looking at I have a home office that's really gorgeous. Plus I have my other office, and I have a marker board designated for all these projects. And I have one that says, do these things now, darling, because if I don't have that one, I might get delightfully behind. And I get to remind myself that I chose these things. So, yes, I have all these great things coming up. And had I not said yes, I would still be sitting in my cozy cottage, which I liked, but I would have the feeling of treading water.
Yeah.
And part of that agreement is allowing myself to be front of the camera more and knowing that it's not ego based, it's collaborative with spirit. And I'm going to be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, what I love about the whole concept of ego is it gives us the opportunity to go out. If you're going to play the character that you're playing, you got to have some desire and drive. It's like when I go to the park and play pickleball with my friends in the morning, and if we're hitting that ball across the net, we go, you know what? I don't really care if I win, and I'm just going to hit it out. And it's not
Just
fun.
fun.
I gotta
Just
try
have
to
fun.
win. And if I'm playing too easy and I'm letting the other people score, they're like, hey man, you're not trying. So I think part of
Yeah.
the ego is, well, let's play the character. But what it's not about is like, if I don't dominate everyone, then I'm not gonna play because I need to be the dominant. Okay, now your ego is getting a little
Yeah.
control. So
Yeah.
that you're using your ego to say, good, well, let me use the gifting. Let me use the physical body, the mental acuity. Let me use the spiritual giftings and let me go forward and help people. You didn't have at least
Yes.
some of that ego. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure people realize the ego is not bad. It's just maybe that
Mhm.
kid that wants its way all the time. So maybe we say, look, we'll get ice cream in the future, but right now, let's make our, bed and clean the room, whatever, the things that we have to work
Yeah.
in. So I just think that's a fun analogy for me to think about that.
Yes. Our ego is our friend. Yeah, I think our ego gets a bad rap. I like that. I really like that analogy.
Sometimes you just need to hug that little 4-year-old and say, you know what, you're being a little poop head right now, but I still you give them a little tweak and you say, okay, you're still good. So, but I do love that the work you're doing in the world is your intention is, well, how do I make us all move forward together? And I too share
Yes.
that same sentiment. And that's part of
Yes,
the reason
you do.
I wanted to create Journeys into the Soul just to let people know, hey, there is another aspect of you may never have noticed, you may never have tapped into, and that's what the QHHT is available to help people do. And when you meet someone, a Suzanne Spooner, that is just so wonderful and so connected to that intuition,
Life changing.
just able to
She is
go,
life changing.
really? Well, why do you think that is? And you're like, oh, that's a good question. Why do I? I think it's this and this and this, and your subconscious just brings that forward. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
One of the fun things for me is while you're in that vein of career and what I want to do in the world, you go, it's very important for me. I'm married, I'm in partnership, stay together. But instead of being like this, maybe we be like this. We help each other on our journey and just hold each other. So I've got my work to do in the world. He's got his work to do in the world. How is that moving forward since your session? How has that been with the pinkies?
Mm, freeing. Um, yes. My husband Edward and I have a really strong relationship. We're blessed to have one of those relationships that's based in friendship, and um, we're grateful for that. In our other lifetimes, we have been together as brother sister, best friends. We are definitely soulmates, and that gives us a lot of elasticity, which I'm grateful for. And the other side of that coin is sometimes it smashes us together. So sometimes what that does for me is it creates this feeling that I cannot create motion without, I don't want to say permission, but without over communicating or asking. I have given myself permission. I've rewritten that script, especially after the QHHT session, hearing that from the guides and my higher self, to simply not do that because it was never coming from him. It was coming from my subconscious, from those other lifetimes, from religious upbringing, parents, programming. So it went from this to this. And even this, there's this healthy stretching of that rubber band because we are that soulmate connection. And it has been lovely. The challenge is keeping the communication, and I don't mind that challenge at all. It's nice. What has been really good is I find myself creating work opportunities that, or having them actually come to me that would never have come to me before because the older version of me would say, well, I can't take that trip. I would need to think about it. I couldn't go by myself. And oh my goodness, these trips have come to me. Some of them are with, I've friendships have developed outside of my marriage with girlfriends that typically I wouldn't have had. That I didn't realize I missed that. So that's really good. And then there are work trips that have developed that I'm really excited about. I guess the best way to put it is there's this whole facet of me that is beginning to grow because I'm not like this. And this is so strong. It's going like this and it will never break. It just has that nice elasticity. And it's shown me that our relationship is really, really strong. So strong that I believe sometime soon we're going to get into the shadow work. And I am not looking forward to that, but it will be good. Everybody's got to do it. Yeah, I'm grateful for it. There, what I learned about the QHHT session is that there's so much that keeps developing after the session. I mean, months after, and you don't always realize, oh, that's from the session, that's from the session, because you don't have to make those connections clearly. But just sitting here talking about, I realized, oh, that's where that came from. Oh, that's that connection. Having a session, especially with someone like Suzanne, wow, you get to pull in or pull up things in your psyche and your subconscious from the quantum version of you, your higher self, that have been hibernating or have been waiting for you to notice. It is such goodness because you get to feel so complete. And that's, I believe, why we chose this earth lifetime, because I've heard the angels say, wow, if you are finding yourself on earth, you've signed up for a few lifetimes packed into one. This is the doozy. This is the hard one.
It's so beautiful. I do appreciate that. I learned a lot about partnership and that we are all on our own specific individual soul journey, and then we partner with other people to help us on that journey. And
Yeah.
a lot of times the love and light and the juicy part of life and happiness is really important. But then, as you said, there's the shadow work, and then you get to see a mirror. Well, who am I, and how am I appearing? And this other person can bring out things that need to be looked at. And I love that you're given presence to. It doesn't necessarily have to be all perfect love and light. There can be that working through the
Yeah.
shadow, and that's part of us as a multidimensional being as well. Part of your session was the physical healing. You had had some work with Suzanne a time before, and this time you saw yourself on like a crystal platform, and you felt this light energy come up from the bottom, and you felt healing. And these are long sessions. There's a lot of things that happen. Some of them are very personal things. Some of them are things that I want to hold and keep sacred and protective over people that agree to be on the show. We don't make anything up. We don't contrive anything. It's all real. But
Yeah.
some things I purposely omit. But one of the things I wanted people to see was there was a space for physical healing in your body. Is there
Mhm.
something that you have been able to experience? Is there something that you were able to share publicly about that experience of physical healing during your session?
There is this beautiful crystalline platform in the upper dimension, and I saw myself standing there, and it completely turned to light, and it went through my whole body. And I saw parts of my body that were deeper, kind of dark, almost like a brick red or brown or magenta. And it turned to crystal, was just shining bright like the rest of my body, as if there's anything in there that was low. They were saying it was all healthy, but it was vibrating at a lower frequency. And so it was tuning everything to the highest frequency possible. And I'm kind of doing this with my hands because it was all moving up as they did that. And it kind of, my physical body almost made me want to kind of throw up for a second because everything was moving up. It's really interesting because one of the modalities I downloaded from the angels was how to do that with people, minus the throwing up part. And I get to start doing that sometime this year. And it's how to tune people into the healing frequency. I don't know how much of it will be physical healing because I don't know how comfortable I am with that, but it will be helping people tune into the frequency of love, money, tuning into the frequency of their pets when they want to communicate with them, but going on to that crystalline platform. But that's where I stood. And that's what that was about. So I noticed that if I ever have any fear about that tissue needing repair, they take me back to that moment in my session and they say, oh, remember, that's where you stood. Tell your body all is well, all is well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's the benefit when you have a QHHC session, you get a recording from the practitioner and then you get a chance to listen to it. And I think it's really cool that not only do you get a recording where you hear your whole session, now we've created an episode where you can watch yourself and go, I saw myself on that table. I watched my episode. I saw this healing. It was real. And you can viscerally go back to that remembrance and feel in your body exactly what your body was experiencing during that space and that time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Normally, I would say thank you very much. Thanks for sharing all your perspective. But I know that you're actively participating in the world of love and light and healing people as a psychic medium. If you would like, give presence to your business and the things that you do to help people, how people can get a hold of you.
Oh, easily. My website is my name, rachelcorpus.com is the easiest way to find me. I'm on social media as well, but my website is easiest. So rachelcorpus.com. Thank you so much for asking.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, it was wonderful getting to meet you, getting to hear your story, having become friends after this. So all I can do
Yeah.
is say gratitude, gratitude, namaste for being part of the journey, being part of Journeys into the Soul, and sharing your experience with people. It's such a beautiful, beautiful space to be able to host you having a session that begins to help other people. So thank you for sharing your journey.
Oh, thank you so much.
Is there anything that you want to make sure people know before we close out for today?
I just hope everyone has the chance to have a session like this. It is absolutely life changing.